So, as always, we begin by acknowledging the original stewards of the various lands that we are on. We also acknowledge our ancestors. We acknowledge all those who toiled without compassion or compensation. We acknowledge all the elders and community stalwarts whose shoulders we stand on as we build, share, learn together for our collective liberation and sovereignty. So, if you can please do us the honors by introducing yourself to our listeners and viewers and tell us about your amazing work.
Hey, once again, thank you for having me. It's an absolute delight to be here with Setsi and just share the work that we do in the community and how it's making an impact in the lives of people here in Sudbury, Ontario. My name is Dokun Nochirionye. A lot of people call me Mrs. Noch. It is my code name. It's easier for people to say. Even my kids call me that now. Pretty interesting. But yeah. They call me that because it's just easy to relate with, and I'm totally fine with that. I'm originally from Nigeria. I moved to Canada a little over 5 years ago, and I live in Sudbury, Ontario, with my family of four. I love Sudbury. It's away from the hustle and bustle of the big city. I was born and raised in Lagos, Nigeria, which is just like New York or Toronto. So really, I was done with the big city life and the traffic and all of that. I love my Sudbury. Thank you very much. And I do a lot of work in the community because I love my community. All of the things I do is for the love of community and to see people uplifted and to see families truly thriving in every endeavor. That is my passion. That is what keeps me up at night. That is my life's work and my calling. And it gives me great joy to serve my community with my gifts, with my strengths, with all the things that make me me. I deploy all of my strengths into my work on a steady, and it produces great results. So that's who I am in a nutshell. I'm also a mom of two boys. I am married, so I'm here with my husband of almost 12 years. It's our wedding anniversary next week, and it's just wonderful to do life with them and also to be deeply involved with our community. We're all volunteers in the family in different capacities, and we absolutely love it. It is our family value, it is what we live by, and it's our own legacy for our community.
Absolutely. That's beautiful. That is very beautiful. And happy anniversary when it comes. For sure.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So, what inspires you about the work you do?
I think it's more of the transformations that I see in people when they engage with our programs and when we have to support them in the many ways that we do through the different programs that we have. So that ability to empower them with information that changes everything for them. It changes their perspective, it changes the game, it gives them access to information and resources and an understanding of how to navigate the Canadian system. I see the transformations that happen after, and that gives me pure joy because I know that without the work that we do, families will be struggling and not thriving. People would make mistakes that would cost them time, money, effort, sometimes their peace and joy and their well-being. And also they have the opportunity to belong because they have a community of people who look like them, who understand their challenges, their values, their perspectives, and how to serve them. So that's what inspires me. The transformation that happens in individual lives and in families truly keeps me going and makes me want to do more.
Mm, absolutely. That's awesome. So, like on the flip side, what challenges and barriers have you faced and how have you overcome them or in the process of overcoming them?
Okay, so I'll talk about them in two parts. As a person, and also as the founder and executive director of Thriving African Families. So as a person, when I moved to Canada 5 years ago, the challenges that I faced, first of all, are culture shock. Nothing prepared me for how different everything was. Not anything I had read or anything I had been told. It is only to be experienced. And I always say that to new immigrants that there's no amount of studying or information or info sessions that will truly prepare you 100% for the things that you'll experience here. You will just have to get here to experience it. It started from the weather, then to the bus system. I lived in Toronto for a bit. It took me a while to understand how the bus system works. That's pretty different from what I know or what I knew growing up in Nigeria. And you don't go to school to learn how to take the bus, right? Or to learn how to take the bus in a different country. You really have to figure it out. And I was heavily pregnant when I arrived. So add that on top of all of those things. So now my family size was changing. The dynamics were changing. I'd always been employed. That was another challenge that I faced, finding work and even meaningful work in Canada. So I had to find a job first before starting to have the conversation about meaningful work, because you have bills to pay and your funds are constantly dwindling due to your living costs and living expenses. So I faced those kind of challenges, and also understanding how to raise my kids in this culture, in this environment, was a major challenge for me. I couldn't I couldn't understand why the schools were so different. It required a completely different system. Children get into school based on their age. You go to the school that is closest to where you live most of the time. That's pretty different from how it works back home. You can select the schools your kids go to. The buses will pick them up from wherever. The fee will be different, of course. And we paid for school buses back home. It works pretty differently here. So it was a whole lot of new, fresh, different information hitting you at once. So I faced those things as well. And also, because I was born and raised in Nigeria, whenever I traveled out of the country, I was a tourist, I was visiting. And so people were accustomed to seeing different people because it's a tourist destination. But when I moved to Canada, I suddenly realized that I'm different. My kids realized that they're different in school, that the color of their skin was the minority. That was a challenge in itself. So things like racism and discriminations and microaggressions and macroaggressions that I didn't experience ever before were now front and center and a visible portion of our daily lives. And we had to learn how to navigate that as well. And as an organization, so my lived experiences translated into birthing thriving African families. As I started to navigate, understand, and integrate, I realized that many families were struggling with the same things that my family struggled with. I thought it was peculiar to us, but engaging with people in the community, I started to see that, my goodness, this this is a common thread. Some people are even still struggling with it. They still don't understand how to navigate these things. And so the things that I was able to succeed at, I found myself reaching out and helping other families to navigate those systems as well. And one person became two, became three, became more, they became so many. I started an online community group to support kids in our community during COVID. It was my first time on Zoom. I didn't even know what Zoom was. We all had to learn all those things at that time. Nobody knew how to set up a Zoom link or, join a webinar or something like that. And the first time I did the meeting, I expected to see only a few kids, 17 of them logged in. The next time, 25 of them logged in. That was almost 5 years ago. We still run that online class right now, and it continues to grow and grow. So I started to see that the things that I was struggling with as an individual were a community thing. They were peculiar to people who are newcomers, who are immigrants, who are racialized, who are Black, who are people of color. And I decided to do something about it. So I started Thriving African Families to support these families. And also because the challenges that they were facing were no longer things that I could support them with as an individual. They required resources that I could no longer fund from my personal donations. And so I had to register the organization as a nonprofit so that we can grow, we can scale, and we can serve our community better. And then the challenges as a nonprofit, of course, funding, the biggest thing. You need funding to make things work. I need staff to run programs. I'm still volunteering in Thriving African Families, but I can't do everything alone. And the work is growing to the extent that I need to actually delegate a lot of responsibilities, but I need funding to make those things happen. You need funding to run programs. You need funding to offer support to people in the community, bus passes, wraparound supports. There's a lot of food insecurity. You need funding to make that happen for people if you want to start a food bank or provide people's basic needs. We need funding for all those things. Another challenge that I still continue to see and we still continue to navigate is underrepresentation. So in many key community agencies and decision-making tables, there are little or no. Actually, there's usually nobody who is of African descent, who is a newcomer, or who is an immigrant. If you're lucky, you have one person. Always the minority or totally absent. So if we're not present where decisions are made that affect our daily lives, how can we really effect change? How can the community really know that we're present here and these are our needs, these are our peculiarities, these are the ways that we need to be served? So I find that I do a lot of advocacy work through governance. I sit on many boards, many local nonprofit boards in our community and even some provincial communities as well, because we need to have diversity at those tables, not just by lip service, but by active service, active volunteering, co-designing these systems for us and by us, so that our perspective is seen, it is heard, it is understood, and it is factored into the allocation of these resources and distribution of community services. So the challenges are a lot. I could do a whole, I could do a whole 1 hour just talking about the challenges that are prevalent in nonprofits, but those are the major ones. And in addition to that is also the cultural perspective. So many services are available in the community, but they don't understand the cultural appropriation or the cultural responsiveness of how to serve people who are of African heritage, people who are newcomers, and people who are immigrants.
That's it. Yeah, absolutely. You can really go on with the amount of you know, challenges and barriers that we face for sure, you know.
Yep.
But people like you will definitely break those barriers for sure, you know. We're definitely hopeful. So what are some of the key priorities or anything that you want to amplify that you're working on now?
First of all, right now, what we're working on is governance, is strategic planning for our organization, because we're in our first year of operations and we need to establish a strong foundation that we can build on and move into the future with. So we just concluded our first strategic plan as an organization, and it's been absolutely amazing with the board. And we worked with a governance consultant. We were fortunate to get funding from the Foundation for Black Communities for that. And so we're able to get that done. Another key priority for us is visibility and communication. So we're also working on improving our website and our communication channels to be more responsive and more adaptive to the end user's needs. Many people view websites on their mobile devices, so we have to make sure that our website is fully optimized for mobile use and people are able to navigate the website easily. Another priority for us right now is our programming. So we actually started as a grassroots organization during COVID. And after that, we've now become a nonprofit organization. So we've had to pivot from a fully remote model into having majorly in-person programs and then a few hybrid programs to support that, because some people still have transportation and accessibility as a barrier. So we've been rolling out a series of our programmings that are culturally rooted. We absolutely insist that our programs have to be culturally rooted to serve the population that we serve. And then we're laying the groundwork for our sustainability by getting grants and securing multi-year funding and core funding for our major expenses as an organization. So those are our priorities right now: governance, programming, and also funding for sustainability.
Right, right. Okay, very good. So maybe I could just kind of merge this into one question. Like, how do you feel about the future of social impact? And
Oh,
what does success look like to you in that encompassed, you know, social impact space?
hmm. When it comes to social impact in Canada, I'm very hopeful. There's growing awareness on the need for equity and representation and culturally responsive approaches. For example, I live in Sudbury. Sudbury used to be a majorly Caucasian city for many years. Um, people who are BIPOC, especially Black. We've always had indigenous people, but people who are Black and many newcomers didn't start to move to Sudbury until about 2018-ish, up until now. And that number continues to grow. So there's growing awareness on the importance of serving every demographic in the population. And that's very encouraging. The city of Greater Sudbury, for example, has a great inclusivity plan called Greater Together, where everybody comes to the table to work towards building the Sudbury of our dreams. And also many organizations are getting on board with not just DEI policies as lip service, but actually taking steps, putting resources behind hiring people who are diverse, getting service providers who are able to serve their clients who are increasingly diverse. In mental health, for example, many people who are Black and who are immigrants, they need to be served by people who look like them. Otherwise, they're not going to fully understand their perspective. Yes, you can be clinical, but if you don't understand how intersectional we are, you will not be able to fully serve that person and meet their needs at that time. So yes, it's a growing landscape, but there's an increasing amount of attention and resources that are mobilized in that direction. The government is releasing more funds to support Black-owned, Black-led, Black-serving agencies, which is my demographic, and that is truly encouraging. Like I said, we just received a grant from Foundation for Black Communities, and they are funded by the government of Canada through Heritage Canada, and they received $9.6 million to fund Black-serving agencies, and that's not even enough at all. They receive requests that are up to northwards of $250,000 to support agencies, and they only have less than $10 million. So it's not enough, but it's a start, and we're getting there, and we keep moving towards that. Also, grassroots leaders are now being recognized for their efforts and their contributions and their volunteerism, a lot more than these things used to happen. I know that recently we've had a lot of nonprofit leaders who have won the King Charles Coronation Medal for their work and their volunteerism. That's very encouraging. When people are recognized for the great work they do in the community, they want to do more. And it also inspires others to also come out and contribute their expertise and their strengths and their giftings towards building our communities. I believe very strongly that communities are built. Communities are literally built, and they are built by people who care, people who put their time, their money, their donations, their engagement, their participation behind all of these things. Because if we leave work and play in a community, we have to be as committed to building that community, uplifting that community, and ensuring that everybody feels seen, welcome, they belong, and they're able to truly thrive. So for me, success is when everybody gets the support that they need, where they're at. For someone who is a newcomer, actually moving to Canada, making the big move, as we call it, actually shoots you into the poverty bracket for 0 to 10 years. No matter how wealthy you were, wherever you're coming, when you come here, everything changes. Your proof of funds quickly dwindle. You spend it all in here, or you're a student, you're an international student, or you're a domestic student, whatever it is, it shoots you into the low income range for 0 to 10 years. You're going to be trying your best to rise, to climb out of that, to grow, to become better, to even match up to where you were before you came here, and then even exceed that and start to live your Canadian dream. So for me, success is when everybody's truly thriving. And our vision in Thriving African Families is all families of African heritage overcoming barriers and thriving. And thriving could look different for everyone. For a young parent who has little kids, thriving could mean, oh, my kids are okay, they started school now, I'm not getting calls from school every day for their behavior or things that are not okay. Maybe that's thriving at that stage. Maybe thriving for another person could be earning 6 figures. Thriving for another person could be getting a job, even just getting my first job, just breaking in or breaking through. So success for me is when everyone is truly thriving by their own standards and at whatever season that they're in many areas of their lives. So we're very big on the social determinants of health. We're very big on offering a holistic service at Thriving African Families. It's not just about looking after employment. If you're able to get a job and your family breaks up afterwards, then everything else you've achieved will not matter much, because you lose your peace, you lose your well-being, you lose your balance, you feel out of sorts. You don't feel as accomplished or as rewarded. You ask yourself, I don't think I moved to Canada to lose my family or to lose my kids or to lose the love of my life, whatever that may look like for you. So that for me is what success is. Truly thriving
Right.
as every
Thriving
member of the
100%.
community.
100%. Wow, wow. This is so impactful. I think you encompassed everything, you know. It is so important, and what a comfort to know that, immigrants, especially Black immigrants, have you in their corner for sure, and making the change, especially
Thank
for
you.
children. I know it's not easy at all. The transition is never an easy one. We do have the racism and those things. I mean, let alone, even Canadians born here are having, Black Canadians born here are having their atrocities as well. They're second generation immigrants
Yeah.
too, come through their
Mhm.
parents, like myself. I was born here, but my parents are Jamaican, and all the, the racism that not only them, but me myself. I was born here and I'm still
Oh
being
yeah.
treated as such, right?
Or they'll
So
ask you, where
yeah,
are you from? Well, I'm from here.
that's right. No, where are you really from? The only person that should be asking me that is a native, right? Right?
Exactly. If you're not indigenous to this land, you also came here somewhere up the line,
That's
up
right.
your family tree.
That's That's right. Wow. So, Duncan, this has been very, very beautiful. I just want you to summarize very quickly for me your closing thoughts and calls to action. What would you say?
Okay. So my closing thoughts, first of all, every effort matters. Every effort. 1 hour of your time, volunteering once a month, it matters. Um, Donating $5 once a month to a cause, it matters. It adds up. Knitting that sweater and dropping it off at the hospital or at the cancer center or at Sick Kids, it matters. We all have a role to play. Community building is a shared and collective effort, and we need allies, people who are not affected adversely by the things that are happening in the community, to actually pitch in and say, you know what, I'm going to help. I'm going to do this. I'm going to advocate. I'm going to speak up. I'm going to refuse this kind of behavior. I'm going to educate myself about things that are changing in my city because I want to do my bit, because I want an inclusive community. It's not about race or religion or age or status. Even people who were born and raised here, who are white Caucasians, they have challenges too. So we all have to do a bit in any way that you're passionate about. There's a song in everybody's heart. Maybe all you care about is just helping people who have survived or who have suffered from breast cancer. That is enough. That is enough. Not everybody will be a nonprofit leader or sit on some board or something, but everybody can do something. So my biggest call to action would be listen to your community. Don't wait for permission. One of my mentors says, when you have a vision, you don't need permission. Just run with it. Just run with it. Whatever your vision is, to be a good neighbor, to be a kind donor, to be a supporter, to be someone who is culturally curious, to even say, hey, tell me about what you're eating, instead of saying, why does it smell like that? That is you doing your bit. When you refuse to let somebody be treated badly on the bus or in your place of work because you know it's not right, that is you doing your bit. Don't wait for permission. Don't wait for a position. Don't wait for an office. It is our collective purpose, and we can all invest in our community. Start from where you are with what you have. There's always something to give. Your time, your talent, your gifts, your strengths. I live very strongly from a strengths-based approach. I approach everything with my strengths. Whatever I'm good at, that's what I'm going to serve with. For example, I'm good at writing. I'm good with words. So for your birthday, I could give you a gift of words. You don't have to buy anything. Just that gift of words can change your life, can save someone from ending their life, can give someone hope, can give someone resilience, can give someone information. Start with what you have, your expertise, your many years in service. That is gold. Your voice, your story, your courage, all of those things matter and they build our community. Someone will see themselves in your story. Someone will have a voice through your voice. Someone will have position because of your influence. Someone will have belonging because you said yes to an assignment, like me, right? Saying yes to this assignment, it costs a whole lot of everything. It draws from every part of me. I also need time out too. I also burn out too. I also get exhausted too. But when I remember that someone is depending on me, my community needs to be built, and I'm not going to leave the job for someone else. We all have a role to play. So that would be my biggest call to action, is for
Right.
everyone to pick up their portion of the work and just get at it so we can all
That's
build our
it.
community.
Amen. Amen.
I hope I
Awesome.
don't sound like a
Well said.
motivational speaker.
Oh yeah, you need to get on that. You need to get on that. That's beautiful. Those are powerful words. So we thank you once again for all that you do. We wish you nothing but success and much health, much love to you. We will close the way that we began by acknowledging the original stewards of the various lands that we are on. We also acknowledge our ancestors. We acknowledge all those who toiled without compassion or compensation. We acknowledge all the elders and community stalwarts whose shoulders we stand on as we build, share, learn together for our collective liberation and sovereignty. So this isn't goodbye. This is a see you later. I'm sure we'll be in contact and do some more
Thank
collaboration again.
you.
Okay,
Thank you
sweetheart?
so much, my aunt.
You're welcome. All the best, love.
Thank you.